This is Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is January 13th, 2025. Welcome to the podcast, and please subscribe, and also please submit questions to me so that we can start a dialogue and talk about some of the important issues going on in the country. Today I want to talk about U.S. government policy on foreign policy as it pertains to the similarities between President Carter and Biden. As you know, the 39th president, Jimmy Carter, passed away about a week ago. He was a big humanitarian, and I think that for the times in the 70s, he was good president overall. But what I want to talk about with this is three things. Age does matter with the philosophy of both presidents. Foreign aid amounts from both presidents. And talking with our enemies versus military action. So let's get into the first one. Age does matter. What do I mean? Jimmy Carter, when he passed, he was 100 years old. Now, even though Joe Biden is not as old as he is, Joe Biden was in the Senate when Carter was president of the United States. And so the philosophy of age in politics should be more important. And what that really means is the way that we dealt with problems in the 70s and 80s is not how we can deal with problems in the current environment that we're in 2025. And I would also say that starting in early 2000, we probably should have shifted our policies and our thinking to be more forward thinking, because it's not that somebody is old in age as president. It's more that their ideas are old for being president, of how they solve foreign aid problems. Now, if you look at Carter, he was human rights, democratic values, and at the time, nuclear non-proliferation. Now, Biden pretty much is human rights, democratic values. That translates into foreign aid. Foreign aid is great, and like I've previously told you, we should match what other countries are doing as far as how much money we are putting out there. And Sunday I was watching Meet the Press, or one of them, and they were saying that foreign aid only accounts for a little bit of our budget, which is totally false. But I just wanted to put that out there. Now, the similarity between them that I really want to focus on is the thought processes of how we're dealing with the Arabians now. And I would challenge you and say, dealing with European problems in the 70s and 80s and talking to people and getting them to compromise actually worked. But with Biden now, in his 4 years as president, we've actually applied that same policy of democratic values, human rights, and that has not worked with our adversaries. Now, the second one is the aid amounts from both presidents. First of all, it's hard to find how much money was spent by both presidents. And the reason is because every department that's a cabinet position gets money. The State Department, We have U.S. aid and all of those, so they can disperse money. And as I told you in a previous podcast, U.S. aid was championed, which is investment in countries, but it turned into just giving these countries money was Jimmy Carter. He started U.S. aid in 1980, right before he left office. So both of these people, Carter and Biden, has spent millions to billions of dollars of giving countries money. And as I've previously told you, Africa is one of the biggest one. And then second would be the Middle East or the Arabians. Now in the 70s, when things were just kicking off with them, I get how you can use money to help them build up their country, to get them to negotiate in Arabia over certain things. But that philosophy now does not work with Biden. And what I'm really saying is that Biden is still applying Carter's philosophies. And the philosophy is that you can talk to your adversaries and get them to change their minds and to do the right thing by their people. Example one, in Africa, we've been giving foreign aid to the continent of Africa for 50 years, and we have no return on investment. And like I previously told you in other podcasts, until their governments want to actually take care of their own citizens, we're putting money into a black hole. In Arabia, they have money, and if you look at it, they are taking care of their people. The extremists are well funded. They don't need the money. So we're giving them aid to keep them, to get the radicals under control. And quite frankly, that is not working. And President Carter did the Accords. What was the Accords called? Okay, I can't find it, but Camp David Accords, which was great on the surface, right? But did you know that Anwar Sadat was killed a year or two after that? Now, I'm not trying to imply that that's why he was killed, but it is public record that he was assassinated. So, which leads into my third one, talking with our enemies versus military action. Again, in the 70s, Carter got that deal done, the Camp David Accords. But in the current environment of talking with our enemies and trying to negotiate them, and I'm talking about the Israeli-Palestine war and also the Ukraine war, we have not made any progress on either one of those. The people in the 70s and 80s on our adversary side, they're different. The people, and we're dealing with young people who have taken over power, and I would submit to both of these philosophies that they just are not effective, they don't work, and all we're actually doing is spending a lot of money to help the people that are under assault in these countries. And I'm talking about the Palestinians and I'm talking about the Ukrainians. We've been, the last 4 years, spending billions of dollars on both of these places, and they're no closer to being at peace. And that tells you that That policy is not working. And in Carter's last 2 years, the Arabians, meaning the people in Iran, they knew that our policy would lead us to keep talking, and they did actions, and then they got us to bend. And if he would have changed the policy and been more aggressive and gone in, maybe the outcome of that election would have been different. And that's not the only reason why Carter lost, but the policies and how they spend money for both of these presidents are just so similar. And in today's world, we really have to have a policy that's more aggressive. And when they tell you that they want to kill people in our country and terrorize us, we should say, yeah, we know that you want to do that, but here's what we're going to do. We need swift action from our president to make sure that we're looking out for American best interests. And we can only help others if the other side thinks that if they cross us, there's going to be some action so aggressive that they'll either be wiped out or we will cause them to change their policy. So, bottom line, pivot from using money for policy versus military action, or isolate that country until their government realizes that they cannot terrorize their own people. This is Just Listen, hosted by George. Please comment on the similarities between Carter and Biden. And I'll be back in contact with you next week. Have a great day.